Welcome to The Switch. Basically, this podcast is about people that are passionate in the breaking dance or hip hop scene and have been able to take their passion and turn it into a career. I've been wanting to get you on as a guest for a while now, like even before your Olympic run, even before the second time you won the Red Bull. Um, yeah, there was a story that I heard, and I talked about it with you the last time we connected in Red Bull, New York. And that always kind of put you in a different light for me. That, I'm like, wow, like that's a really cool thing to hear about someone because we don't know a lot of the backstory behind these people that we see excel. And, we think, oh, well, they're just good at this thing. They're just really talented at breaking, but there's a drive that exists that we don't know about. And I really feel like people should know about it from you because I hope that when they hear this episode, they'll look at you the same way that I was able to kind of like the way my perspective changed about you. I'm hoping their perspective changes about you as well.
Felix is getting right into it. We haven't even gotten to the full intros yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do
As you
you
know,
do the
yeah,
intros.
I'll do the intros. I'll go ahead. He's excited. He's excited to get into it. So as you know, we've got the CEO of Break Connect. We've got Felix here. He is joined by myself. I am the social media manager of Break Connect. My name is Luis, aka El Prod, and we're joined by someone who rarely ever needs an introduction these days, but it's always good to give him one. Olympic bronze medalist, multiple time Red Bull BC1 world champion, incredibly elite level breaker. We've got Victor with us. Man, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
One of the biggest reasons that Felix wanted to talk to you was obviously the one that he listed right now. But on top of that, we've had Rocks, right? We've had ATN, we've had MG, we've had Baby Girl, we've had Ronnie, we've had a lot of people on this podcast, but none of them have ever been to the Olympics. You were the first one to do so, along with Jeffro, but we haven't had him on yet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to explore there. But it always comes back to where it started. And we want to know, how did you start breaking? Where did you get started? How did all that come to be?
So it was a natural process. My dad and my uncle, they were breakers back in Mexico. They
Wow.
were also in a band, like they're in a death metal band.
Oh,
So I was
what?
always around like music and dance. I have a big family. My cousin was living with me. He's like 3 years older than me. My brother, is like 5 years older than me.
Okay.
And it was always like us, like we're the three trio. And I would always just follow them around. I was the youngest one, and I'll copy everything they did. And so my uncle and my dad, they're just having beers. They're having beers in the living room. Me, my cousin, and my brother were just like there playing around, and Beat Street pops up on the TV. And in those days, it's like 2000. I was about, let me see, how old was I? 2000. I think I was like nine, eight. No. I was like 6 years old, something like that. Yeah, like 6 years old. And Beat Street pops up, and my dad and my uncle were like, "Yo, we used to do that back in the days." And it was the famous scene where it's like, who is it? It was
Rocksteady and
Rocksteady.
Breakers.
Yeah, Rocksteady versus New York City Breakers. It was that famous scene. And I remember my dad and my uncle were like, "Yo, we used to do that back in the days," and we didn't think nothing of it. We're like, "Yeah, right, whatever." And basically, they just go into their rooms. They put a hoodie on, a cap on, and just start breaking. And from there on, like we would just watch Beat Street all day, every day, and just reenact the scenes, that
Yeah.
famous breaking scene versus New York City Breakers and Rocksteady. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
So it was a family thing up front. It was you, your cousin, and your brother, you said?
Yeah.
Did they continue breaking too?
So we stopped. We stopped for about 3 years.
Okay.
So we stopped, and we got into other things. But then my cousin, one of his friends from high school, found out that he was a breaker. And my cousin got back into it because of his friend. And then my cousin got me and my older brother back into breaking. So I was about 10 years old. We had like a 4 year break.
Oh, nice.
or a 3 year break. And yeah, that's when I got back into it and took it serious. I was doing it all day, every day.
So
Yeah.
this was in Florida, right?
Florida, yeah, yeah.
Word. So how did you go from like breaking amongst your family members? You took that break, you came back. How did you go from that to finally coming out into the Florida scene and starting to see like other breakers?
Yeah. It took a while, to be honest. My first jam was like 4 years into breaking. So I honestly didn't know anything about breaking. I didn't know, like, I honestly thought we were the only breakers,
Oh,
in the
damn.
world, like I didn't really know there was a big scene out there. And yeah, I was doing it at my house. My cousin had a couple friends that used to do it. We would go to teen nights and we would hear about these other dancers. And
Right.
that's when we started battling these other dancers at the teen nights. And from there, my brother used to go to this one church and he met a guy named Lito that's a big part of the Florida scene. And he was
Right.
throwing an event in Kissimmee, which was like right next to me. It was literally like a couple blocks away from me. It was at some church. That's when
Mm.
I went to this event, me, my cousin, our whole crew. And everyone was like, yo, who are these kids? We've never seen them before, it was like our first time at a jam. And I remember I did the battle and I made it through prelims. I got to the top 8.
As a
And
kid?
yeah, yeah, yeah. As a kid,
Oh,
it was my
damn.
first battle ever, first ever battle. I made it through prelims. I beat the first guy, and then I lost top 8. And that's when everyone was like, "Yo, who is this kid?" Keebs was coming up to me like, "What's your name? Where you from?" From there, people were passing out flyers for another event, and that's when I started getting into the scene. So I started in Florida. From Florida, we started driving out to Georgia, and yeah, I got better and better and better along the way. Entered BC1 Tampa. That was my first BC1. Won that, and then went to the BC1 in Chicago, and from there, that's when I blew up. So it was a
That was big
long
hair Vic,
process.
right?
Hmm?
That was big hair Vic, right? Where you
Yeah,
had
yeah,
like,
big hair,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Big hair
So,
Vic, yeah.
yeah,
Um, It's funny, you kind of already beat me to the next question, next to the next punch, but there's a lot of legends that have come out of the Florida scene. And honestly, like growing up at that time, I would imagine it was pretty crazy seeing all these people like in their prime, like throwing down at local jams.
yeah.
What are some of like Florida legends that you look up to that have helped you out in your journey?
You know, there's a lot. We So you know how nowadays, I started thinking about this. Nowadays, there's a lot of kids battles,
Yeah,
so there's separate categories. And now that I think about it, when I was growing up in the scene, there's no kid battles at all. So
that's real.
you had to battle all these fucking legends, So I was battling Kevo, Stripes, Mine 180, who else? Flipside Kings. And honestly, I feel like that's what made me who I am in the breaking
Yeah.
scene. That's what made my breaking better because I kept on losing against these people and I just never understood why, but I just had that fire in me. It's like, nah, I'm gonna beat them one day, I'm gonna take them out. It would anger me and motivate me. And yeah, those are a few to name. There's
Mhm.
there's there's a lot more that I've seen in Florida that inspired me a lot. But yeah, man, it was a good journey.
I
Out of
mean, even, yeah,
I
go
have a
for it.
question. How did you connect with like MF Kids? Because I always, whenever like I watched your crew, like it always felt like what's cool about it was it looked like
Yeah,
a bunch of misfits kind of put together because everyone was different. Like everybody in that crew was different. Like everyone was pretty good, but everyone was different. When you look at the Florida crews, you look at like skill methods, you look at Mind 180, and they were also different in their own way, but they also had like this very specific style, like that's skill methods.
Yeah.
That's my 180, like but MF Kids, I always felt like you guys stood out because you guys were kind of like the Lost Boys and Peter Pan or some shit, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Like that's kind of how I always envision you guys. So I'm always kind of curious, like how did that crew come together?
I remember my second event I went to. That's when I first saw Nate Knox and Illy. And when I saw them, I was like, oh crap, like they're pretty good. And yeah, yeah, I saw them like at my second event. It was only Illy, Nate Knox, and I think Tongue and T Pie that were in the crew. And yeah, from there we just started seeing each other at like all these other different events in Florida. We started connecting. You know, my crew, Backyard Funk, they're much older than me.
Mhm.
And I started connecting more with MF because they're my age. They're my age group. We're always hanging out. And yeah, that's how it happened. It just happened naturally. You just start seeing these people at like at events, you start connecting, and then from that you start hanging out, you start practicing. And yeah, that's how it was. It just was natural. And it was meant to be because we are all young, we all had like our different style and hard headed too.
Man, it's crazy how a lot of y'all ended up on the West Coast from Florida. Because like
Mm,
Illy's over here, Froggy, I've seen Froggy not too long ago. Like
yeah.
everyone's on this side, man. And so now that we're talking about FF Kids, like we need to kind of piece together the journey here. You won that Red Bull in Chicago, or you made it to Chicago. You had already kind of started to build your name at a national level. At what point did you start kind of connecting a little bit with like Squadron?
When was this? Let me see. I feel like we started connecting because of Mex. So
Word.
Mex created the crew Squadron, and you know, I would see Mex at every event. He was like a huge part of the breaking scene.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just me and Mex started talking. We started hanging out. I started going to his events, and naturally, uh, you know, when Squadron was in town, I'll get together with them. You know, Mex would always invite me. We'll have a couple sessions, and yeah, that's how it happened. I remember I got into Squadron 2013 or 14. Yeah, we did our first event. We won
Oh,
it.
the freestyle
I thought
session.
that shit's
No,
24.
no, no, no. This was way
Oh,
before. I think this was 2012. I
okay.
entered with Rocks, Nasty Ray, El Nino, and myself, and we won that event. And then from there, they put me on. They're like, "Yo, Vic, we want you to be part of the crew. You know, we have the same philosophy." And yeah, it just happened naturally. Nothing
All
too
right.
crazy.
Nothing to- And then after that is when you won your first Red Bull World Final, right?
Yeah,
After being put down.
2014, I did BC1. I
Yeah.
lost. Well, I lost a couple of them. So I lost the one in 2012. I lost the one in 2014. And then 2015, that's when I moved back to Florida. And I was like, all right, I got to get on it. Mex was my mentor for that year.
I
So he
remember.
was really pushing me and giving me all this positive feedback because I had the moves. I had it, but I just didn't have it mentally. I had to believe in myself. And that's what he instilled into me. And yeah, that whole year I won like almost every event. I won
Yeah, you
every
weren't on a tear,
yeah,
man. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, and then you won the second one in
New York.
New York. Yeah, that's true. Oh, dude, we were there.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
we were.
that was nuts, dude.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I was
yeah.
motivated in that one because I haven't won in a while. And I'm like, all right, I really want to win again. You know, I had that fire in me, and it's like, no, this one's gonna be mine for sure. And you just know it deep inside.
So does that mean you're gonna go for a third eventually?
Yeah, eventually. I feel like last year I just wasn't into it. There was
Right.
just something off, you know. It was after the Olympics, and I just didn't even have any motivation afterwards. Want to enjoy my time, but
Hey, I mean, I totally get that.
eventually, eventually,
Oh, you
eventually,
heard it here first. There we go. Eventually, the
we'll
third one's
see. We'll
coming.
see. Maybe in 2 years, a year, 2 years, we'll see.
Start making space in the trophy case,
Yeah.
man. So we're kind of piecing it all together here. We got the journey in front of us. We know what you've won, what crews you've been a part of. But the really interesting part of this all is that you have been kind of painted as the face of breaking for the United States now for the last couple years. Um, you mentioned like working with Max for that 1 year and being super locked in, motivated. How did that journey look like for you for the Olympics? Like, who was part of your team? How did you get yourself into that mode? And when did you decide to pursue this like seriously?
Yeah, so for the Olympics, what happened? So 3 months before the Olympics, no, it must have been, yeah, 2.5 months before the Olympics, I get into an accident. I'm kind of glad that accident happened because it got me locked in.
Mhm.
I wasn't really locked in. I was just like postponing my training and like, oh yeah, I'll train next week or the week after. The Olympics is like in 3 months. I have enough time. I got into the accident and that forced me to like really lock in.
Yeah.
I wasn't capable of breaking for a month, so my neck was bad. Like I had severe whiplash. I couldn't move my neck, couldn't break,
Uh,
couldn't sleep. So the first month, this was May, had to recover from that. And then I started my training journey like in June. So it was pretty much back and forth because I had a couple trips in between. So I would
Mhm.
train for like a week or two, then go to this trip, come back, get back into my training. I was able to stay at Steve's facility, Silverback's
Mhm.
facility. So I'm really grateful that he had like a whole training facility. Um, and I was just there like 24/7, just recording myself, creating ideas. And yeah, Ivan was part of the journey, Steve was part of the journey, the whole breaking, USA division was part of the journey. And when we got to Paris, we were allowed a coach.
Mhm.
And that's when I invited Rox to come and coach me. And basically, yeah, he was with me for about a month. So even before Paris, we are training at Steve's facility, doing 20 rounds, going 20 rounds straight, doing all these crazy workouts. And yeah, that's when we went to Paris. And Rox was one of the main guys that was really there throughout the whole process.
At the very beginning, this was like before that year, at the very beginning when all those like qualifiers were happening, did you think you had a strong chance of being the guy or one of the two guys to make it to the very end and be representing USA?
Uh, yeah, I knew I was gonna make it. It's just I was so frustrated because of the rules. It's not
Yeah,
like a regular breaking event. And there's when it comes to the Olympics, there's a lot of rules. And just because I won all these major events didn't mean that I would get a straight spot
right.
into the Olympics. So I found out that I had to go through this whole process. It was frustrating. A couple events I won, like I think 2 years, 3 years prior, didn't count towards the Olympics. which which
Crazy.
which the federation told me that it counted. People were like, oh no, do this event, it's gonna count towards the Olympics, do that event is gonna count towards the Olympics. And I did those events, I won them, and I come to figure out like 2 years later that they never counted and I never got points from them. So I had to start from scratch. I started later than everyone else. So I did one of the Olympic events, and from that event, I had to start all over and do the qualifiers, like the
Yeah.
regional qualifiers, national qualifiers, and from there worlds. And I was pretty late. I was pretty late into the process, but I still made it through. Still made it through. So
yeah, I mean, that's kind of wild that you started way later than everybody else. And not only did you still make it through, you like you were the guy. It was basically at that point, you and then whoever else makes it.
yeah, and it was really tough because these dudes were going like I think they had about 8 Olympic qualifying events. Yeah, it's about
Sounds
eight
about
or
right.
seven, and I did one, but then I couldn't go to the rest of them. And those events, the people that were going there, they were doing like about 18 to 20 rounds. So when I did the qualifiers and then when I got into the World Olympic qualifiers, everyone was like on Super Saiyan mode. They're used to doing 18 rounds, 20 rounds. I was not used to that. And I saw how everyone got much better. And, you know, I did I missed about I think like four of them and
Hmm.
only did three. So I started getting better throughout them. So I did the first one. I got smoked by Phil Wizard. And then I did the second one. I don't think I won, but I got third. And then the third one was Worlds, and this was for the spot to the Olympics, straight to the Olympics, and that's the one that counted. And it was like, all right, I'm learning as I'm entering these events. And it's like, all right, after I did the second one, I lost to Sugar Kicks and I got third. And that's when I found out the formula. I'm like, okay, I got this. That's when I did the one in the qualifier in, where was it? Belgium. Belgium. That was the world. So everyone entered that one. And yeah, I beat Phil in the finals and I got my spot straight to the Olympics.
That's funny how that works. Third time's a charm, huh?
Yeah, third time's a charm. Yeah.
It's wild because we, as people that were just watching the qualifiers kind of go down, it seemed like the Team USA account or whatever, USA Breaking account, I'm not sure what it is, but they were posting like different faces every few months. Like Gravity would pop up on there at some point, and then someone else would pop up on there, like Jeffro at some point, and you're like, damn, like who's even part of the team? Like who's even gonna make it? Because it's just all these different faces every single month. And then finally, like it pops out, right? You see the results, like Victor's going to the Olympics. And then, the last spot I think was determined by points, right? Which
Yeah.
is how Jeffro made it.
Yeah, you can feel the intensity because there's only two spots.
Right.
No, only two breakers can go from each category. So two B girls, two B boys. And throughout the process, I couldn't enter all these other events, but Gravity and Jeffro were entering those events that I couldn't go to. So they're accumulating these crazy amount of points while I was still doing the lower tier Olympic events that weren't getting me as many points. So I started getting, a little bit anxious, like, oh man, am I really gonna make it? Like these dudes have all these points. The only way for me to really make it into the Olympics is to either get a spot straight to the Olympics or accumulate, you know, as much points as them. And you can feel the intensity because the closer I got into the Olympics, I started getting more intense. It's like, all right, there's only two spots left, and there's these three guys fighting for those two spots.
Yeah. Man,
So
it's crazy because you bet on yourself, man.
yeah,
Like you put all your chips in your one basket and you made it happen.
and
Not a lot of people can say that.
and with the Olympics, it's just the level of competition is just so different, and it's like this is your one and only time to make it to this event, and this might be the last time
Yeah.
ever that they'll have breaking in the Olympics. And dreams were crushed.
Yeah.
Like once people started losing, and once people understood that they're not gonna make it through, a lot of people were bummed. There's some people
Yeah.
that were crying. There's some people that were bummed out. Others were like okay with it, but it was really like you could feel that the energy from the people that are winning, and the
Yeah.
people that made it and that didn't. And you feel
So,
back, it's like, man, that's the way it works.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just
Wow.
wild to see that because with breaking events, there's always another event the week after, the
Mhm.
next week, or it's always there every year. So you're like, all right, I lost this one, but I'll come back for it next year. With the Olympics, like, nope, it's
That's
the
it.
last chance you'll ever get.
Is that what it? Because when you're talking about like the level being really high at the Olympics, um, you know, from an outsider's POV, I see like these same breakers that I'll see at like a Red Bull event or at like Outbreak or even freestyle session, so like the level is pretty high at those events as well. So it's just kind of like a little surprising to hear that the Olympics, and I think to your point to what you were saying, because there's not going to be another Olympics. Everyone is probably just gunning that much more to get to that spot.
Yeah, you can see like the fire in everyone, and there was also sponsorships along the line. There's there's a lot of people getting sponsorships, and it's like if you don't if you're not up to par, that's a potential sponsorship that you might lose, you know?
I
You get what I'm
remember,
saying?
yeah, because it's funny. Like I remember, we were at the Eighth Fatty event in Philadelphia, and we were driving. It was like you, Jeffro, I think Flea Rock. Anyways, we were driving and like you were talking about how this is that time where you got to get sponsored. Like this is before the Olympics were happening, but you were like, going to be on the Olympic team. And I
Mm.
think you were like doing stuff with Haagen-Dazs and Luis, I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but
No. We're on the way there. This is
on the way
good.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like it's really interesting that like I mean it's not interesting because like athletes do it all the time, right? Like they get this level of recognition and then these companies want to work with them, they want to put them on their product, etc. And I think the most we've ever experienced it is like, yo, look, I'm on a Red Bull can, and whoa, you're on a Red Bull can. But then,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, this is a personal experience for me. I was taking the subway, and this is again like right before the Olympics, and it was just like some global financial company, and it was like so and so global, blah blah blah. We're part of the Olympics, and then I see you breaking like on the video on the subway. I'm like, holy shit, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Yo, that's nuts, man.
No, it was awesome. Like the level of publicity, we got was amazing. And yeah, the way these companies did it, like it's all about marketing. Like they're just marketing us and creating that
Yeah.
fan base for us. And they weren't just reaching breakers, they're reaching people from all sorts of life, from like it was just all these different people that have never seen breaking or were never a part of breaking or thought breaking was dead, or don't break, they do some other sport or they work for this other job, whatever it is. And it was just so cool to get that publicity and just people really being inspired by that and, you know, seeing breaking again for the first time since like the 80s or 90s or whenever it was they saw it, and they're just so amazed. Like every photo shoot I did, every gig I did for like Comcast, Delta, and whoever, like all these companies that was sponsored by. Everyone was just so shocked, like, wow, this is breaking. Like, man, this stuff is so cool. Like, I didn't know it was like this anymore. Like, oh, we can't wait to see it. So it was a really cool feeling.
So it's funny that Felix brings that up because he did kind of jump in a little bit early because I was about to get to that. It's crazy that I'd be on Instagram and then I'd see you like holding up a pint of like caramel ribbon crunch Haagen-Dazs. And then like the next post, you're like on a Google ad. And then like the next post, you have like an interview with Forbes. And the next post, you're in a Roblox game. I'm like, yo, like this guy's everywhere right now. On your side of things, like which one of those opportunities really stood out to you as being like the craziest or the most fun?
Most fun. I feel like Comcast, Delta was amazing. Man, all of them. Like, to be honest, all of them. And at first it was so overwhelming because in the breaking world, you don't get marketed as much and you don't
Right.
have to speak as much. You'll have an interview here and there. Um, the closest you'll get to like having a lot of interviews like when you're doing a BC One World Finals,
Yeah.
and you'll do a couple interviews here and there. So for me, I really came out of my shell, because of these sponsorships. Had to do these public talks. Had to do a lot of interviews and talking, meeting new people that are not a part of the scene, and it was just so cool to meet other athletes that weren't breakers, like, and just get inspired from them. And yeah, we just got to meet so many different people, but all the experiences were fun. They were all fun to me.
I was
And
actually curious, sorry, real quick. So at the Olympics, what was it like with the other athletes? Because a lot of these athletes, also like, the fact that you got to meet like LeBron James is kind of dope. But
Yeah.
besides the point, all these other athletes, like they've, especially like gymnasts, wrestlers, like your natural Olympic sport athletes, like they spend their life to get to this level, right? To get to this point where they will be like they know that from a young age, I'm training and competing to one day potentially be an Olympic athlete. Like breakers never had that dream until, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But what's it like when they look at breaking? Do you have any kind of like
Yeah.
were they accepting? Were they a bit more
It's
like,
funny. It's so funny because uh like when I started working for Comcast, Delta, and a couple other like sponsorships, other companies, I would go to some activations that they'll invite me and other athletes that are part of the sponsorship. And I remember me meeting this skateboarder, and I met him a couple times, but he always forgot my name. And it was so funny because it was a humbling experience, because in the breaking world, everyone knows me. Like, I'm pretty much famous in the breaking world. Everyone has heard of me.
yeah,
And when I got into the Olympic world, these other athletes have never heard of me. Like, this world has never heard of me. They don't know who I am. And just to get into that atmosphere, I felt like the new kid on the block. Like, oh, what's your name? Okay. Oh, what's your name again? And it was just like, oh shit, kind of hurt my ego. And it's like, wow, it brings you down and it humbles you again. Like, you know, the breaking scene is not the world. And some I feel like some breakers think that way, but it's like, bro, we're like we're a small part of the world.
yeah, we're a small
To,
ecosystem, much bigger thing.
yeah, to get into that Olympic world and to meet these new people, it was really a humbling experience. And yeah, they're with open arms. They love breaking. Like, I remember doing a couple shoots. There's a couple athletes, and they're just amazed. Like, what, yo, that's so cool. Like, oh my God, blah blah blah. And we'll exchange contact information, and from there we'll see each other here and there. But yeah. I created like like a couple friendships with other athletes from like
Oh, yeah.
different sports. But yeah, they're really welcoming to breaking.
So
Isn't it crazy to think that like had you not won that direct spot, it could have been someone else like experiencing all the sponsorships and stuff because you were the first one with the secure spot. Everybody knew you were for sure going to be at the Olympics.
Yeah,
It could have been anybody else, right? So
yeah,
like the fact that you bet on yourself and then like you were rewarded, right? Like you went all the way in, you got the biggest reward, and then on top of that, you got like a head start on all like the marketing sponsorships and all that stuff. And I think like I can't imagine a world where it wouldn't have been anybody else in that locked in spot other than you. But it's crazy to think that like had you not been like 100% locked in, it could have been someone different. And I think that's like a recurring theme in your career, like you being able to bet on yourself and calling your shot and making it happen, which I think brings us to that story that Felix was talking about at the very beginning of the episode that has really stood out to him. And I feel like, I mean, I wasn't there, so I think Felix got to explain it a little bit.
yeah, so and like I said, I brought this up with you before. I was meeting, this was at the first full force anniversary that they used Break Connect. That's the reason I was there. And I was kicking it with Rocks, and we went to eat dinner at some like restaurant on like in Old Vegas. And Illy was there, and we were just kind of like chopping it up, and he was like, yeah, I don't know how we got to this point in the conversation, but he was saying like, yeah, no, like Nick's got a plan. And I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah. So, one time I was kind of butthurt because, he was like joining Squadron and all these other crews. And I was like, yo, man, like, what's up, man? I thought we were crew or some, like I guess I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know the exact words. And then he basically says like, and then Vic looked at me and he's like, yo, man. And then again, this is me paraphrasing and remembering, so I might be kind of like exaggerating a bit, but he said that you said, yo, man, don't fuck this up. Like, don't fuck this up for me. Like, I'm doing something right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're on a mission. And when he told us that story, I was like, yo, you know what? He is on a mission. And then like your trajectory made so much sense. And like when you and I chatted at Red Bull, you gave me like even a more in-depth breakdown of what that conversation, again, I might be like exaggerating points just because like my memory might be different from what actually like what he actually said, which might even be more different than like what you actually experienced. But the gist of it was kind of like, again, you betting on yourself to like get to this level. And yeah, I just want you to like kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, yeah, well, it wasn't just Illy, you know, it was because I've been in what, let me see, I'm like in 5 crews, 4 crews. So my first, yeah, I'm like bunch. So my first crew was Flip Style Crew. You know, I grew up with them. We used to battle at teen nights. We went to our first event, Lito's event. From there, you know, most of our crew members, they weren't taking it as serious as me and my cousin. So me and my cousin were always the ones that were just like training all day, every day, and really trying to perfect our craft. And that's when Backyard Funk from Orlando, they brought us in, and my crew Flip Style was really butthurt, and they're like, if you can't beat them, join them, you know. And like for us, you know, they didn't understand because it was like, hey guys, you know, we're just trying to better our craft and we want to be around people that are better than us and that have the same mindset and the same focus that we do because we want to start winning. You know, we want to travel. This is what we love. Throughout the years, they started to understand, you know, the older they got. And the same thing happened with Backyard Funk. You know, that's when I joined MF. And it was like Backyard Funk, my crew, I learned so much from them. You know, the same thing with Flipstyle. So I learned from every crew. But then there's this moment where it's like, all right, what more can I learn? You know, have to be around people that are better than me or that have the same mentality for me to grow and get better, you know? And they say it's similar to like if you're the smartest in the room, leave the room. Go
Yeah.
like go with someone that's smarter than you. You know, like if you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. You know, you need to go with someone that's smarter than you so you can learn and then from there go to the next and to the next and so you can expand. And that's what basically happened. And it was like, yo, guys, I love you guys, but it's like Squadron right now, they're 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 on one. And the mission that they have is the exact mission that I want. And we both had that same, we both aligned. And that's why I ended up going to Squadron. And from Squadron, BC1 All Stars. And yeah, I'm super appreciative like for for every crew and I've learned from each and every one of them. And for me, that's why it was like, all right, it's time to go. You know, they're not taking it as serious as me. And it's okay because some people have families. And
Yeah.
for me, that's fine. You know, it's like some people end up having priorities. My priority was breaking. And I was fortunate enough to have my father build me a studio in the back. You know, I was living with my parents. I didn't have kids, so this is something that I was doing all day and every day. And some of my friends, they started creating families, so they couldn't take it as serious. And that's when I was like, all right, let me get around people that have the same vision.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's dope. Like it's this organic growth that you allow yourself to happen. And luckily, like you had friends that were accepting of that happening. It's just like, yeah, it's really cool to hear.
Yeah, and I would get upset too. Like that's a natural feeling, you know, but you know, the older you get, you start understanding and it's like, oh yeah, it was for the better. Like it's okay. Yeah.
Man, so obviously now at this point, you're a full-time breaker. You've made a career out of this. You're going to be in the history books no matter what. But before you were a full-time breaker and when you were still having to like travel, get your name out and stuff like that, like what were you doing for work? Like how were you able to sustain yourself during that time?
You know, I'm living with my parents, like they basically sustained my whole lifestyle. Break breaking was my first job. I
Oh
remember
shoot.
traveling here and there.
Like,
At the age of 15, I started making money here and there. So I would win like a couple events in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, all around Florida. So I'll make like $50 here this weekend, $100 this weekend, 250 that weekend. And yeah, that's how I was sustaining myself for a little while. Did I ever have a real job? Uh, I did work as house cleaning
Oh
for
word.
for like 2 days.
few days.
Because my mom was doing house cleaning. My mom and my grandpa, they needed help, and I did that for about three days, 4 days, but that was it. Like I forgot about that. And during COVID, one of my friends, he was working at a pizza shop, so he was like the manager, and I just went to work there for like 2 days, and that was it.
You
Like,
could
I'm
have
out. But yeah, breaking has basically been my job since day one.
wow,
Yeah, my first job. Yeah.
that's
Yo, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
he made the switch really effing early.
Yeah, I know, dude. I was about to, because the name of the episode, the name of the show is called The Switch, and we always talk to people about like when they decided to switch from like a casual position to like a full-time career doing what they love to do. But you from the very beginning knew this is what I'm meant to do. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it this way. And that's cool, man. I don't even know if the switch question applies to him, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like there was no switch. It's
I
been
mean,
like this from day
I
one.
think it applies. Okay, let's ask this.
Okay.
When did you realize I can make breaking a career? Like I can make a real living supporting myself. Because I mean, like you also not you don't just support yourself, you support like family
Yeah.
members, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. I feel like the first couple of events I started winning, uh this was age of 14. I'll make $100 here and I'll give my mom like half, like 50, 250, I'll give her half of that. 500, half of that. And I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. And I just love the feeling of winning, training, and just working hard and getting that win. It was just fun to me. And yeah, that's how it happened. It just happened naturally. It's like, oh wow, I'm starting to get better and better and winning money here and there. And yeah, once I started doing BC1, that's when the prize money was a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. So it's interesting now
But
that
it
oh go
it
ahead.
was a struggle. It was a struggle for a while. And thank God I because I've been living with my parents for like a very long time, and um but yeah, it was a struggle at first. From like, let me see, for the first 10 years, yeah. For the first 10 years, it was a struggle. Like, all right, I got into this jam, maybe I win, maybe I don't. It was like that for the first uh, up until 2015.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Did you ever question yourself? Did you ever think to yourself like maybe this isn't it for me? Like I gotta find something else? Or did you always know like
Oh,
breaking is the
never,
one?
never, yeah, always breaking, always. I never had that thought. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that's amazing.
Not a lot of people can say that, to be honest with you. Like that's super sick. Honestly, I'm glad I know that about you now because it makes everything seem like super. No, it's like these
Yes.
accomplishments that you have. Like I'm a fan of the fact that you've made it this far because you've always devoted yourself to this craft. Like
Yeah,
you knew from day one, like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it right. And you know what they say, like if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And you can tell just by the way you approach everything, the way you think about things, like you love it. You love this shit, you really like to be in this world and you're succeeding. Yo, man, big ups to you, man. Like really.
Yeah. See?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we've all been there.
Word, yeah.
Breaking can be fucking super exhausting, and
There's a new winner every week, man.
it gets tough.
Yeah, I mean, one month, you could be winning 3 jams. The next month, you could be losing in top 8,
Yeah,
3 in a row, and
it's
your
like gambling.
confidence is
Yeah,
messed
it's like
up.
gambling.
So now that we kind of like figured out where we're at here, where you're standing right now in your journey, I think it's also interesting to like think about like your family. Like they've supported you from the very beginning. Your dad put you onto breaking basically. So what were your family's reactions when they realized like my son's gonna, or my Victor, the one that I raised and brought up and supported, is gonna be representing the US at the Olympics? Like, what was
Yeah.
that feeling for you to tell them that this was gonna go down?
Oh, they're happy. When I won the spot straight into the Olympics, they're so excited. So I have like a lot of cousins. I have like 30 cousins. 30 cousins, 10 uncles and aunts. It's about like 100 of us. And yeah, all of them, like they're all excited. They're happy for us. They're posting like my videos all the time, all the sponsorships and the clips that were out on YouTube or wherever, like wherever you saw, they're just like always posting me. So yeah, my family was super supportive.
Did
Super.
you send any of them out there with you to Paris for the actual
No,
event?
they couldn't come. I wanted to bring my mom and dad, but my cousin did come. My cousin and
Oh,
his wife.
word.
My cousin, the one I started breaking with,
Oh,
he
damn,
came.
full
So,
circle.
so it was such an amazing like experience to have one of my family members there, because
Yeah.
the only time my parents have seen me dance at an event was BC1 in Orlando 2014, and I won it. And it
Damn.
was so awesome just to have, my cousins and my dad and mom, see me live. It was, yeah, it was really good. It was really good. But yeah, they haven't seen me ever since. So it was cool to have my cousin there, at the Olympics, experience, witness history.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gave me energy. It was cool.
So now that you've accomplished basically everything there is to accomplish in the world of breaking, like what do you think is next for you in these next few years?
Next, I don't know. I'm just taking it day by day. I just started breaking, so I stopped breaking right after the Olympics, to be honest. I practiced a little bit for BC1. After BC1, like haven't been sessioning, training, any of that from like December up until, recently.
Yeah.
Like today, I'll do a just showcase here. I'll do a little round here and there, but to really practice how I used to, I haven't done that till today. So I don't know what I want right now.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to take it day by day, practice, and love it again. Because
Word.
like, what can I do? I don't know. Win BC1 again, or there's not much. It's just hard. It's hard
Yeah.
to get motivated after
Is
I
you've
get
been
that.
doing it for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
20
yeah.
years every single day. So
Is there pressure from your sponsors to kind of keep up like a certain like
no, no pressure at all. All the sponsors I had are gone now. So they're like, all right, after the Olympics, peace.
shit?
And it's with every other athlete, Comcast, Delta, there's a couple others out there. But yeah, after the Olympics, they like drop the athletes until the next Olympics,
Mhm.
and whoever they think has a strong chance to make it into the Olympics, they sponsor.
Word.
They
Oh, damn.
sponsor, but yeah, I never get any like, oh, come on, Victor, you gotta practice, you gotta do this and that. No, they're really flexible.
That's
Um,
what's up.
Dude, I was just thinking to myself, like, I think the last time I saw you battle in person was the Elite Breaking League thing that happened in Vegas last year in August. I
Yeah,
think it was like right after the Olympics.
I was in the
Um,
best shape.
Bro, it was crazy because you come out of the venue and I see you standing there and there's like a line of like 30 people waiting to take a picture with you. And you look like a superhero, bro. You look like a Marvel meetup or something. This fool was standing there like, and
Yeah,
there were just kids lining up, just taking pictures of them. It was adults, it was kids. I was like, yo, this is crazy right now. I've never seen anybody want to take a picture with a breaker unless it was like Rocks right or something, like one very
yeah.
few top of the line guys, but it was a long ass line, dude. And I was dude, I was out there for like 10 minutes just watching. I was like, yo, this is crazy. This guy's like a celebrity right now.
Remember, I remember me and Phil did a battle in Japan, and Illy was actually there. me and Phil were just like practicing outside the studio where the event was happening,
Yeah.
bro, and literally like lines of kids. And you know, in Japan, they're really nice, and you know they're in a single file line, two single file lines for me and Phil, and just like one after another, after another, after another. Oh, autograph, autograph, autograph. And then for some reason they started asking Illy for an autograph too. So then it started becoming like me, Phil, and Illy just getting autographs, just giving out autographs. And it was like that for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Me and Phil were just trying to warm up. And it's like 1 minute after another kid, you know, kids just coming out of everywhere. Families. It was really cool. Really cool. But yeah, that
Yeah.
Olympic hype was crazy, man. I never experienced something like that. People just, you know, right after the Olympics, I went to New York to do a couple talk shows,
Hmm.
and I'm just walking in the street, you know, some random street in New York, and some dude and his girl, they're like, "Hey, we know you. We saw you on TV. Like you're at the Olympics, right?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah, I was like, "Oh man, congratulations." Like, wow, this is fucking cool. And I walk, you know, I'm walking like 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, and another person's like, "Hey, I know you. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you." Blah blah. Like, I just saw you at the Olympics, so it was a real cool experience.
I mean, that's tight because like you said, it could be just one and done. Nobody would ever
Yeah,
have that experience ever again because of the way like the Olympics are kind of set up to pick their events. So that is crazy, man. We're talking to the only I mean, we could also have Jeff Rowe on at some point, but you got the direct spot. You were the one with the first level of exposure. Like, this is crazy. Um, so now that you're, like I've mentioned before a couple times now, you've done everything under the sun here in the world of breaking. Where do you personally see breaking in the next like 5 to 10 years?
the next 5 years, five
Like,
to.
what kind of changes do you think we're gonna see? Like, do you think we'll ever have something as big as the Olympics again? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think we'll have something as big as the Olympics for sure. For sure, it'll happen. I just don't know who's gonna do it,
Right.
who's gonna throw it, but I feel like something will happen. I don't really know, you know, the way it's going now, it's different. It's different and it's different, you know, with social media,
Yeah,
live streams, and how everything is just like it's becoming a little oversaturated.
that's facts.
Um, but
I mean, Red Bull
hopefully
was able to
it'll
create
grow.
something, right?
Hopefully there's more kids doing this. So for me, what I want to see is more kids doing it. And you know, in Florida right now, there's no events happening, which suck. You know, there's no events. There hasn't been a big like event happening in a very long time. You know, and yeah, I just hope that there's more youth
Mhm.
that get into breaking, and more support for breaking, more events. I don't really know, to be honest.
I know. I'm gonna make it happen.
Oh, damn.
Break connect, baby.
He's calling the shot right now,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, definitely.
Well, as we come down here to like the final closing part of the episode, like it's really great to hear everything that you've done has always been like 100% part of your journey as a result of your confidence, your work ethic, and your ability to just make things happen for yourself. Not a lot of people can say that. Um, we talked about what's next. We talked about the past. We talked about the current. Is there anything else that you want people to know, like about you before we head out for the day?
I don't know. What do people want to know?
That's a good question.
Do you
Well,
My
think
training regime?
your diet,
actually your training regime would be pretty? I think a lot
that
of people would want that.
would be pretty
Yeah,
sick actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm starting to pick it up again, but it's funny because I forgot, you know, and it sucks that I didn't write this down. Or yeah. So right now I'm just starting to figure out again, but it's basically just breaking most of the day, a lot of calisthenics, strength and conditioning, cardio, I learned not to bulk up. You know, for the Olympics, I was looking bulky. Like I was eating fucking wine and eating steak. You know, the
Yo,
whole process. I like bulked up, and yeah,
you
now I'm
look like an
trying to
action
slim down.
figure at the Olympics, bro. You're like your frame was crazy. Then you did like this pose. I
Yeah,
was like, yo, this guy looks like Captain America right now. What's going
yeah.
on?
But now I'm trying to slim down because I'm like 150, 140 is my prime. I was 150 at the Olympics, and I felt pretty heavy. Like I felt that muscle weight.
You're wait, dude, how tall are you?
5'7".
And
So
one,
143 is my prime. That's when I'm flying. 150 is like heavy. Heavy, but I gained more muscle. That's what it was.
yeah.
So I had like that more I had more muscle mass, which made me a bit slower. Slower and took a lot of energy.
Yo, that's crazy that you're 5'7" and like 150 is heavy for you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's heavy. I'm carrying too much.
I know, but I'm saying like you watch UFC at all?
Yeah, yeah.
So like there's guys that are your height that like fucking break their back trying to make like 150. You know what I'm saying? Or like even like 145. With the
Yeah,
fact
but
that you're like,
those dudes are like what, 6 feet, right? 6 feet.
no, not all of them.
Their weight is
Not
like
all of them.
180, trying to go 150.
There's some
Beat
people
up
that
the
are
little
like
dudes.
5'8", 5'7", that are trying to get to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
145, even like 135, but still like the fact that you're saying like 140 is like
Yeah.
your that's ideal weight at 5'7", I'm like bro, because I'm 5'8", and I don't even want to say what my weight is because I feel fat right now.
Yeah. No, so right now I'm just trying to slim down. Lots of cardio, strength and conditioning, more braking, more braking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
Got a
breaking,
final
more
question.
life. Go for it.
Real quick. More life. All right. I watched the Olympics and I watched your battle against Danny.
Mhm.
Did you feel a certain way when they made that call?
Man, after that call, I was just like, I give up. I'm done. All that motivation, I just went down. Like throughout the whole event, I was like, going crazy. After that battle, I was just like, doesn't even matter anymore. I don't care. I don't care if I get a medal. I was pissed. I was pissed. I
Yeah.
was like, I should have, because I got a text. It's like, take your time. You're looking tired. Just stay clean. And in that battle, I could have done more, all those 3 rounds, but I just try to keep it clean. I didn't try to, you know, yeah, just try to keep it clean and short, which I fucked up. I should have went all out. I still thought I won
I still thought you
because
won
yeah,
too.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
Yeah, me
saying. Because
too.
I was
Yeah.
like, yo, I've talked about this with Rocks before, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I was upset
yeah, I
because
still thought I won. It wasn't
yeah,
my best battle throughout that event, but I still thought I took it because I was doing different moves and
Yeah.
I felt like Danny was repeating. So I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. But with those events, it's like you never know. They could take out one judge, put another judge, and it might be most likely it's gonna be a different outcome. So
Yeah.
that's how it was. They had like about, let me see, 20 Olympic judges, 20, 15 like Olympic judges that they're using for every event. And you would have this judge or this judge and that judge, and the whole event will become a different outcome. Or you'll have this judge and that judge, and it will come a different outcome from that. So like,
yeah, because it would
yep,
have been
that should
fucking
have.
epic to have you and Phil
Yo,
like
yeah.
for golden
Yeah, and when
star.
I saw, oh my God, when I saw Danny crash on the baby freeze, I was like, damn, son. Like I would have gave it like a way better final. I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah,
went
Yeah.
all crazy, like, yo, this is the last chance. Come on, let's go.
like they basically said, hey Phil, here you go, buddy. This is for
Yeah, yeah.
you,
It's like,
Danny. If you want to do anything, be my guest, but you know this isn't gonna work.
it's all good. When I remember being in the back, this was right before me versus Sugar Kicks, and we're just pacing back and forth, back and forth. And the ladies that were working there were just looking at us and laughing. We were just so nervous. And bro, this was I think this was, I don't know who was battling, but someone was battling, and we were right beneath the bleachers, and all you hear is like stomping on the bleachers. Ah, everyone, the whole crowd roaring, everything shaking, and then it just gets quiet. Just gets quiet and eerie. And it's like, fuck, we're next. We're next. It was an awesome feeling, but a scary one too. And
That's sick.
yeah, man, that was awesome. But yeah, like when I got on stage versus Sugar Kicks, I was like, all right, let me just give it my all. Like might as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I lost that motivation, lost to Danny, and then from there I'm like, all right, come on. Just give it one more try.
Yeah. Fuck
And you
yeah.
came out with a medal.
Yeah, came out with something. I'm like, I'm leaving with something.
Listen, a bronze Olympic medal is nothing to like scoff at. You know what I'm saying? That's a big
Yeah,
deal. And you were the first
Yeah.
breaker to win an Olympic medal.
yep,
Could be the only, bro. You know, you never know.
first. Yep,
Well, I believe that that kind of brings us to a good close now. We've learned
Yeah.
everything we need to know about Victor for this episode, but we might have him back in the future when he wins his second medal.
for
I hope
sure.
so.
There
Let's
we go,
get
10
it.
years from now. Yeah, there we go.
Get it. I'll be
Man,
what,
Victor.
like 40?
Yeah, hey, you can do it at 40. You'd be the first
Go
breaker at
Rocks.
40 to get an Olympic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
you got rocks next to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
Yo,
Thank
Victor,
you.
thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
appreciate it.
you. Luis, always a pleasure. Yeah, y'all.
I'll see you in a few weeks. I'll see you in a few weeks here in San
Oh,
Diego,
yeah,
man.
thanks.
We'll lock it in.
Let's have some fun.